Hey everybody, Jake here with TrendSpider to go over the analysis before the weekend. We usually call this Thursday analysis, but we are doing it on Friday this week. So to start off with, we are going to go back and look at some of the tickers that we were looking at a couple weeks back. So that's CHK, MRO, and then US oil. So from when we were looking at that, a lot of things have changed. So we have broken out, and the biggest thing is the fact that we broke out through the weekly SMA 20. So notice here when we did that previously, we kind of broke down, very similar to how we did now, back in October of last year. And then we had some consolidation, very similar to how we had here. And now we're starting to break through this area again. And the last time that occurred, we moved up pretty quickly afterwards. So you can see in pre-market, we're definitely moving up pretty quickly through this area. The MACD is starting to cross through the zero line. The percent range is starting to get very overbought, which notice when this occurs, that's generally when momentum has come back into the picture. And especially when, notice here, how when we broke through this line, the percent range was overbought, but the RSI was not fully overbought yet. And so there was more room to move up based on that, very similar to how we are now. So all in all, this seems to be breaking out. There's a huge gap up with earnings, huge confirmation candle in the volume. So I would not be shocked if this continued to move all the way down, all the way up to test this next area above where we have this wedge resistance. So we can create an alert here easily. We'll have it be triggered on the 5-minute. We'll call it wedge resistance. And we'll just have it expire in 7 days or triggered 3 times. So now, so if we can break through this one trend line here, so we can kind of see we broke through this wedge here, we broke through this, we're looking to possibly break through this next resistance. So if this is broken, then the next area to watch would be this area here, which we have now an alert on, and we will be alerted via email or text if this occurs, if the price action gets anywhere within this purple area. Now, let's start with let's go to USO, and we'll see this is kind of where it all starts, because at the end of the day, USO is kind of the driver of the oil stocks, just because that's what kind of they're derived from. So CHK is not fully an oil stock, but it definitely moves with oil. And so we can see here we're getting at a very kind of tight wedge here in the apex of this ascending wedge. And so there's two things that can happen. We can either break down or break out. Now, the thing to keep in mind is we are breaking through the weekly SMA here, as we mentioned with CHK. So notice before this was resistance, now it's acting as support, and now we're trying to bounce off and break through this wedge. So the biggest thing, obviously, with everything, volume is going to have to come in, break through this area to show buyers are really in control. But the thing is, notice how the percent range is kind of showing some downward action here. So we're hitting lower lows here, and we kind of double top. So all in all, this is looking like it could pull back. However, we're still in the very early hours of Friday. This can easily reverse and break out. So we'll just have to see what happens and go from there. Obviously, I am not an advisor or a broker or anything like that. We're just kind of trying to show some of the main features on our platform, with that being multi-time frame analysis in this case, with the ability to overlay your SMA 20 from the weekly on the daily chart. So if we go to MRO, which is the last ticker that we looked at 2 weeks ago on the Thursday analysis, we can see that this is the same thing. We broke out through this area. This was really a status quo changer here. And you can see now how we're kind of creating this flag that's really riding right along the SMA 20 here from the weekly chart. So notice how all the daily price action is really respecting this line. And so if this line holds, we could expect this to kind of be the base at which this bounces off. Now, the MACD is looking a little ugly here. Notice last time we had this MACD cross, this was a total fake out and there was a reversal afterwards. So honestly, the more bearish the MACD looks, sometimes it's more of a signal for me that it could be a fake out, because if there's so many people looking at the MACD and everyone all of a sudden goes, oh my gosh, this is so bearish, generally the market's going to do the opposite. That's just how it's kind of programmed. And so for me, I'm thinking this is going to be a fake out and we kind of swing back up. Just my opinion. Obviously, I can be completely wrong, but just based on kind of the momentum here, the fact that we broke out through this wedge, the fact that we broke out through the weekly SMA 20, and this is now support, all of these things are pointing to me that there could be more upside possible. So we'll have to see. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will do the weekend analysis on SPY, QQQ, and XBI on Sunday. Have a great day and happy trading.